The dad jokes from the child. Okay, we got everybody here. Thank you everybody for coming out. My name is Rick Tate. I am the chairman or president, pick a title, I don't care, of the Pickens County Republican Club. And we always start with prayer. And I'm going to give you a quote and a prayer. I've been using this pretty consistently for the last few meetings because I like it. The first Republican was Abraham Lincoln. He was our first Republican president, and he kicked off the Republican Party to a pretty good start, holding our nation together. The quote is from him. My concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side. For God is always right. Now if you pray with me. Dear Lord, please bless our community, our state, and our country. We pray that you will always give us the guidance necessary to always be on your side. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. If we can pull that off, we'll be all right. First, I apologize for not having the PA system here tonight and the video system that we usually use. John Schaefer, who does great work at recording and providing the PA system. John and I have been working together for over a decade. But John hauls that stuff around in his van, and his van broke down, so we didn't have any way to transport the equipment here tonight, so apologies for that. So if everybody would just sort of speak up, use your outside voice so everybody can hear you when you're answering the questions, because if you whisper tonight, the people might not hear your answers. So if you stand up and ask a question, please speak up. I usually recognize elected officials at this point, but we've got one, and we've got a bunch at the table. Phillip is here tonight. I'm going to tell you now why Phillip is here. I served as the chairman. I was appointed to the Public Service Commission by County Council, and I served as the chairman of the Public Service Commission. The city of Central has business before, from time to time, quite a bit with the sewer and that kind of stuff. The county is in an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Central, or the sewage that's provided to Central. So I didn't think it would be appropriate, be a conflict of interest for me to stand up here and run this whole thing and ask you guys questions. Even the appearance of anything out of the ordinary, I'd rather avoid that and not have any questions. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment at all on sewage or anything that goes before the board in a meeting like this, or be involved in any kind of discussion on that. So I asked Phillip to come in and moderate, because I kind of learned how to do this from him. He was the chairman of the Pickens County Republican Party for about 10 years, and I was his vice chairman for a while, and then I became the chairman after him. So I know he can do a good job at this, and he happens to be your representative in the House of Representatives in Columbia, so I thought he was quite appropriate for this. Last thing before I turn it over to Phillip, we are the Pickens County Republican Club. We are not the Pickens County Republican Party. Two totally separate things. We are an auxiliary group of the South Carolina Republican Party. And the only thing we do is voter education. That's it. That's the mission of the club, is to do town halls like this with elected officials and candidates to try to create a connection between the constituent and their elected officials, so that you get a better feel for people that are running for office. You need a little more, I think, to cast an informed vote than what you see on TV or what you get in a mailbox or a 2-minute conversation that you go with somebody. So that's the purpose of this, and that's why we're here. Voter education, so you can make an informed decision. With that, forgive me, would you join me with the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. So without further ado, I will turn this over to Representative Phillip. You need this? Want this?
I would prefer that, yeah. Well, thank you, Rick. That's very nice, and thank you to the candidates for being here. We There are a couple of elected officials in the audience.
Oh, okay, just stand up.
There's
and
Mr.
introduce yourself.
Peak back there, who is on town council, and Ms. Chapman is with his own town council. So,
Thank you for coming, my apologies.
Thank y'all for coming.
That's just ignorance on my part.
Again, thanks to the candidates for being here. We couldn't do this without you. We wouldn't have a government without you, so self-governance is very important to all of us here. Thanks to the audience for being here. So, I want to be fair. If you feel like I'm not fair, just throw your water bottle at me, because I don't want to be unfair to anyone if you don't feel like you got your time. Timekeepers, Rick, the yellow is 15 seconds.
Right, 50 seconds left to speak, and the red card is you're out of time.
So let's try to abide by that. I went to the NAACP/League of Women Voters last week, and it was an hour, and man, it went by fast for me. Did it go by fast for y'all? I was about to say it probably went by really slow for y'all, but so this one's a little longer, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. So we should have time to get into some real good conversation. So I'm supposed to start. I have a list of questions, 11, 12, with this one that someone put on the desk. So I'll go through those. And if I don't get questions from the audience, then I'll use these. First thing I'm supposed to do is a statement. This is a statement from Miss Bowers, no relation to me. She's unable to be here. First time I've read this, so y'all hear it. I'm hearing it at the same time y'all do. Thank you, Phillip Bowers, for sharing my statement. Thank you, Laura and the Republican Club, for organizing tonight's forum. I'm sorry that I cannot be there tonight to join you in the forum. I have training out of town this week and could not reschedule the training. I'm sorry about not being able to be with you this evening. I will be back in town on Sunday and would love to speak with any of you who have questions for me. Thank you, and it's signed Paige Bowers. So. Time limits. You get an opening and closing statement first off, 2 minutes. Rick has the card. Questions, you'll get 2 minutes each, candidates, to answer. You're encouraged to be concise, so more questions can be asked. Again, I'll do the first question. Subsequent questions will come either from the audience or this list I have. I know most of you, so I know you'll maintain respect for the other individuals and no name calling, arm wrestling, and so forth. No national politics. This is a municipal. This is about a municipal election, so we want to keep it to local issues. And the schedule around 7:45 or 7. I'll get the yellow card, and we'll begin to wrap up and close. Any questions on the 4 minute? All right. So the first question is sewer expansion costs.
Oh, are we doing opening?
Excuse me.
Opening? Are you gonna do the opening? Is everyone gonna have 2 minutes to open?
Oh yeah, 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, so we'll start on the far end down there. If you'll do a 2 minute opening statement, and we'll just come down the line. That's okay.
Great. Well, my name's Doug Berry, and I'm up here because I'm running for Central Council. Been in the town of Central 13 years. Served the town of Central in many capacities over that time. I was on council from 15 to 17. I was on the zoning board of appeals from 23 to 25. I also worked at the Central Clemson Rec Center, and I've worked in numerous projects around town as far as beautification, cleanup, helping churches with cleanup. I was one that helped spearhead the Southern Wesleyan University Community Day when we painted the train trestle in town about 10 years ago. That was a fun morning. But I just think I have a lot to offer from my experiences at the job I've had over the years. I am from Buffalo, New York originally, as many of you know. My Buffalo Bills gear I wear all the time. I think I have some underneath, but you can't see it, sorry. But I grew up in the city of Buffalo, which is actually just a larger version of Central. I could go back there now and probably run into neighbors and friends I haven't seen in a while, and it'd be just like being here every day walking down the street. It was a small city, not like Charlotte or Atlanta, but I've also lived outside of Chattanooga in a rural town when I worked at Tennessee Temple University in Chattanooga. Lived in Lexington outside Columbia. Seen lots of different patterns of growth in all those areas. Lexington had to be the most interesting. It was really booming. It went from about 12,000 to 30,000 in the 8 years we were there. So I've seen what growth can do, and if it's not managed properly, that's one thing I'd like to do. I just look forward to serving y'all. Thank you for being here.
Reverend Deal?
Thank you, Republican Club, for having us here. Thank all of you for being here and the other people that have taken time to run for office. My name is Ken Dill. It's been my honor to represent the town of Central for 16 years on the town council, and some of those years as Mayor Pro Tem. My wife and I moved here in 1990. We raised our children here. They played rec sports and cheerleading. I coached t-ball, coaches pitch, and even helped with the basketball team. I know when I was doing very much with basketball, but I tried to help. And we've intentionally remained here to stay rooted in this community and to live with and love our neighbors. I just retired from 34 years as the chaplain at Southern Wesleyan University. After 16 years of being on council, I would like the opportunity to lead our council. We have a weak mayor system of government, which most cities do in South Carolina. So one of the major things that the mayor does is to set vision and to set goals to make sure you reach what your visions are. I've made myself available to people through phone calls, through text, through emails. I meet people and concerned citizens, had coffee or ice cream, meet them out here in the library. I feel like I'm a person that leads with passion and integrity. 3 areas that I think need our attention is to empower people in Central to be a part of government through transparency and participation, create a strong and healthy business environment for our business and the people who live here, and then also to celebrate the goodness of our community. There are a lot of great things that are happening here, and we need to be telling those stories. Thank you.
Mr. Rand?
My name is Daniel Evatt, and I'd like to thank the Republican Club and all the members of the audience for coming out. It gives you a chance to meet the candidates, hear more about us, see how we stand on things, ask us tough questions, then hold us accountable if elected. I grew up in Central. I've been here my entire life except for a few years where I lived in Greenville. I graduated from Daniel High School, went on to Southern Wesleyan, graduated in 2005 there, started working with Citigroup, moved from Citigroup to BB&T in about 2011. In 2013, I got tired of building everybody else's dreams and built a business on myself. And then I got missing the corporate world, so got a job with Clemson University in athletics and their operations. I would like to bring all the training, knowledge, and experience that I've gained over the years working in business, working with all types of people, types of situations, and see what I can do. Again, I was elected official 2019 to 2021 to be able to help the town in any way possible. I'm very approachable by anyone. You can knock on my door, you can call me, you can send me a text, does not matter to me, I'll respond to anybody. And I see any resident in this town as a neighbor, regardless of geographical location to me. And I want to hear your problems and hear your concerns, so maybe I can help with those and count it out so you feel better as a resident and the direction that the town's going. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw?
Hello, thank you for being here. Thank you for putting this Most of y'all are probably thinking, why is this ugly guy standing up? Because in the military, we stand up when we speak. My name's Thomas Gold. Like many of you, I came to Central because I wanted a nice community and a peaceful life. Forgive me because I have to read. But before I stood here today, I stood in places where I wasn't very welcome. On foreign lands, fighting for this government, fighting for this country. Most of you can see that I have my boots on, and then as a paratrooper and combat infantryman, that means we're ready to go to war. Well, we're not having a war, but y'all's voices need to be heard. And I'm going to guarantee you that I'm going to deliver on that promise. I don't back down from fights, and I don't run. That's one of the things that's kept me alive for this long. And with y'all, if y'all are gracious enough to vote for me, I'll fight for every one of you. You knew what I did for this country. Imagine what I'll do for you. I don't consider y'all a community, I consider y'all a family. Where I come from, family means everything. There's only one other thing at top, and that's God. I'm not a politician. I'm not politically correct. By no means. But I am approachable. Your problems will become my problems. And I hope to get your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Mr. Griffin?
Okay, thank y'all for having us. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming. My name is Robert Griffin, and I'm applying for a job. I want to be one of your councilmen, and as one of your councilmen, I consider you all my boss. And I will work for y'all. I will do everything in my power to live up to your faith in me if I can have your vote. I've been here all my life, here in Central. I retired after a 40-year career in law enforcement, which took me from, I was with the sheriff's office in Pickens for 22 years. I was the chief of police in Liberty, chief of police in Pendleton, and when I retired, I was assistant chief of police in the city of Clemson. For the last 14 years, I worked at Duckett Robinson Funeral Home here in town, which I still do. I enjoyed that, and I hope I can continue to do that job. I can tell you that I'll always be accessible. You can approach me any way, anyhow, by phone, email, in person. And I consider myself a real effective listener. I like to listen more than I like to talk. And I think that means a lot when I listen to what y'all have to say, as opposed to me trying to talk and make promises of things I can't do and can't come through with you. Honesty, truthfulness, and accessibility is what you'll get if I could have your vote on November 4th, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. I guess I should introduce myself a little bit. I'm Phillip, as Rick said. I grew up here as well. Went to 6 Mile Elementary, Edwards, Daniel. I would like to brag, I've gone to every college in the county and I still can't find a good job. I'm just kidding. I graduated Tri-County Tech, Southern Westland, and I got my master's at Clemson. So it really is, it's a pleasure to be here. I've never done this sort of thing before. I've usually been on Rick's side of the podium, but I'm gonna go to a question that I really have an interest in. It's concurrency. There's a bill in the House pertaining to concurrency, and this does a pretty good job of explaining it. So I'm curious to know how you all feel about this, because it may come to a vote next year, and I'd like to know how you feel. So the comprehensive plan calls for responsible growth tied to infrastructure capacity. Should Central adopt a concurrency policy which requires that roads, sewer, and emergency services and include schools too. Be adequate before approving the new development with requirements that are more than a rubber stamp. And prove that the capacity truly exists with checks and balances. If yes, what do you propose? So I'll start on the end again, Mr. Barry?
Yes, sir?
Yes, is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, so, then what do you propose?
Well, I like the fact that that bill is going through the House, and I hope it passes. One thing we have here right now in Central is a problem with infrastructure and development. One of the plans I have, and I haven't had a chance to research it through the state, is having the developers pay up front, and not just a small fee, but pay for all the infrastructure that's involved in their development. I know it can be done, it's done by other builders and developers in the state. D.R. Horton is a prime example, put up $10 million to put in roads and sidewalks in one of their developments. So it is something that can be done. And I think it would be a lot easier for the town and the townspeople, instead of just putting a small fee on to cover the infrastructure, whether it's $5,000, $7,000, just say, no, we're not putting that on them. They have to pay for the whole thing up front. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars off it. Let them pay for it. I think that would really help all the towns.
Thank you. Reverend Deal, yes or no, and if yes, what would you propose?
Yes.
Okay.
I think most people would agree that, things like annexation and, how that's going to work needs more guidance from the state than just, cities or municipalities having to deal with that. I think it levels the playing field for everyone and lets everyone know what we expect on this end, and again, what developers expect on that end. I think that it's a good thing. I would say that the town of Central, as far as I know, has done due diligence in this, in that we've asked school systems, we've asked to encumber sewer capacity, and those kinds of things. So we have worked on that whenever we have had developments to come along. But I think it's necessary for the state to help everyone be on that level playing field for that.
Good, thank you. Mr. Evitt, would you support concurrency, and what would be your plan?
Yes, I would support concurrency, and I do agree that when builders come in, they do need to be responsible for improving it, because they're taking land that currently doesn't have anything, and if you're building X, you need to be able to build in the sewers and the roads to support X as well. And we do have to hold them accountable to do it. Because I do agree that when realtors come in and contractors come in, they are making a substantial amount of money. And we can't let their greed dictate the way that our town is run. So that is something that I would support.
Thank you, Mr. Evitt. Mr. Gold? After talking to you the other day, I know how you feel. But you go ahead and tell us.
Well, concurrency, you might want to stand, I feel better standing, I hope y'all don't
You're
mind.
jumping jacks, whatever you want to do.
Okay, well, we're not gonna do a PT test in here tonight, that's one thing. Concurrency, I agree with it, but also kind of curious on candidate Barry's proposal of making them pay. We're selling a little piece of heaven when they come to our home. This is our home, right? We should ask them to be responsible. Like if I go into someone's house, I always ask before I have a glass of water or drink a cup of coffee with them. Why not make them ask? I think it'd be a real good thing for the state. think that if we can get it right in Pickens County, then we could probably become a model like Singapore with their infrastructure. I think that we need to step in that direction and hold people accountable. There's a lot of reasons why things in Central are the way they are, is because we didn't hold people accountable. And that's what we need to start. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gold. Mr. Griffin? Would you support concurrency? Yes, what do you propose?
Yes, I do. By me being at the end of the line, I kinda agree with what, just about what everybody else said.
Maybe I need to start down here and go that way next time.
There are parts of where everybody has said that I would say as well. And one thing I've said all along is that these developers need to be held accountable. And if there's contracts and there's contracts. If a developer comes in and doesn't do what he said he was gonna do, there needs to be a substantial penalty for that. And I think it needs to be to where we can enforce that penalty on, if they, by a work stoppage or a fine or whatever it takes, and hold that developer accountable, whether it's a clear cutting issue or a drainage issue, whatever the issue is. Developers are gonna have to be held accountable. Yes, I would support that.
Good, and I will make one comment. When I heard about this, I hadn't heard of concurrency. I've been in the House for a year. I won the election in November, so I'm new, learning lots of stuff. But when I heard about it, I went to the sponsor. The sponsor is Representative Bustos, who is from Isle of Palms, I believe, one of the coastal towns. Is that right, Mr. Pointer? Yeah, I'm sure you probably studied more than I have. When I went to him and asked him, I said, "Here, tell me about this." And he said, he told me how it works. And I said, "That's a pretty good idea. What did the developer say?" He said they hated it at first. He said the developers they sued us. They tried every way under the sun not to abide by it. He said, but after it was done, after we made them start doing that, the demand for those properties went up. Now the developers love it because they can get more money if you got sidewalks and sewer and gas and all that stuff. You get more for your property. And again, I think it was Isle of Palms. It was a few hundred houses just where they first started, and he is sold on it. So I don't think I signed on to the bill, but I probably will. And if anyone has any comments on it, let me know. I'm an old school property rights guy, so telling somebody what to do with their property, from Old Boy from 6 Mile, I'm kind of backed up. But as Mr. Golden said, growth is just coming at us so fast. 100,000 people a year coming to South Carolina. We've got to do something. So I asked the first question, so now you all get to ask questions if you want to ask questions. Anybody want to ask a question? I have a whole list of stuff here.
I'll ask,
Yes, sir.
you were talking about concurrency and pretty interesting because we've seen the growth in the city and you see a lot of people complaining about it. And I don't know if it's warranted complaint, if the developers are taking care of the property when they build it. But has anything stopped us from holding them accountable in the past? As in our own concurrence.
I'll start with Robert this time. and we'll go that way.
I think to a certain extent they have, but I think just from what I know, I think they've gotten away with more than they should have, some of them. And so I just think there needs to be something that's ironclad, that every developer that comes into town and asks for a permit needs to know that, by George, if I mess up, I'm in trouble.
This is Robert.
We're gonna get tired of me standing. I agree with that question, I really do. too, because like you said, it hasn't been held accountable to this point. And that's mainly because the town of Central's hands are tied in certain aspects. We're part of a county, and the county planning commission can overrule us in some aspects. However, the thing is like we were said earlier, we have a weak town council. We don't have a strong town council that can go toe to toe with a lot of these people. In the past, we had people that would just let things come in and go the way they wanted to. Now, we have the right people in the right places. And with the citizens behind us, the way I see it happen is we stand up for y'all. And if we find that this person isn't willing to do the things that we ask for him, then we should be willing to sell off our properties or our homes to let them make money. And I think it's time that we actually took a stand on that. That's my point of view. I don't know how these gentlemen are going to say it, but for me, I'm not going to roll over. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pettit.
I think it's very easy to be a Monday morning quarterback than it is to play on Saturday or Sunday. I think that developers have taken advantage of Central, and I think Central has learned from the mistakes of previous developers. I think stepping in and trying the tree ordinance, we had a couple of trees cut down, and we, to my understanding, each tree that was cut down, that was assessed at a value and each one paid. Now, a developer has the money where they can replace a tree, they can't replace a, 30, 40, 50 year growth tree overnight. But I think just as Clemson did, I think we were needing growth because we became more popular than we had been a decade ago. That we did let people in, and after the, I believe it was called Hidden Valley, where they had improper fence, where the mud and everything was going into the river below and stopping places further downstream. That was something that, okay, next time we do this, we gotta make sure that we're keeping an eye on this. So, I can't always fault the town from learning. I can fault the town if we don't learn from our mistakes. Then we're easily taking advantage from the next person that comes into town wanting to do the same thing. So, with everything that's going on and has gone on, and we apply the right things to prevent not only the people that are gonna live in those communities, but the people that live outside of those communities to be protected, then that's the best the town can ever do. But we have to learn from our mistakes and do our best to prevent the same mistakes from happening.
Thank you, Reverend.
Okay, I'm gonna talk quick here because this is a lot. This is a big question, that you have asked here. So let me, just try to go through some of these things quickly. One is we now have a codes enforcement officer. So this is a person whose job is just to go to places that are being built to make sure that they are, abiding by the codes. They can shut them down, they can stop their work, they can fine them, and that's what their job is now. It's a part-time job, but we went from no code enforcement officer to a part-time, and so I think we're taking the steps that we need to take. We also have two other people in our town that can go to places and check as well. So if there's somebody calls and says that a fence has been breached and it's going to the creek, there are 3 people that can go out and check it, get stuff done so that it's corrected. So we are making improvements in that area. There's a difference between developers that make houses that might not be the best houses and developers that might not develop infrastructure that they've agreed to. so we need to remember there are two different things here. Last thing is that I proposed that we have a 6 months moratorium on any building because we are working on a unified development ordinance. And that will be our playbook. When that is finished, we will be able to, and if it's not finished in 6 months, then we'll extend the moratorium as far as I'm concerned until we have that. Then we can say to the developer, here's what we expect from you. If you can abide by this, come back, we'll work together. If you can't, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Abbott?
Very.
Mr. Mayor, sorry.
They use my let me just say, I think a lot of good information has come out from the other men here. I do think that part of our problem with some of these developers that don't respect our town is that we need to have larger fines for when they do disrespect our town. I, for one, was put on notice by one of the developers not to go on their property while they were building houses, because I kept reporting them to the town, who would then report them to DDEC, who would then hand them out a fine, which was probably $150. And then I'd go again the following week and do the same thing again. And it just kept going like that until a group of us that policed this area were told to stay out of it, even though it was a subdivision going up. And I told them, I said, well, I'll be in there because I'm looking at home lots. But I do think the developers have to be held accountable. They're the ones making the hundreds of millions, and they're not respecting our property. Part of it is because we were behind the 8 ball. We didn't have a code that was up to date. We didn't have rules and regulations that are up to date for what they had to do. I believe ordinances are in place in the zoning ordinance book now. We just have to pull those, as Mr. Dill said, and say, here, this code, that code, you have to abide by it, or don't bother even submitting a plan. And that came forward with all that. And they have their plan, and they have everything set to go. I am disappointed that it just, like everybody else, just clear cut the whole field over there and ready to go, but that's the way it works when you're a developer. You do cut it as fast and as cheap as you can, and that involves taking down every tree. We'll fix that soon. Thank you.
Thank y'all, good responses, well thought out. Answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you all very much.
All right, any other questions from the audience? Yes, sir, Mr. Quinn.
Shifting gears from development and those kinds of issues, which are very important, it's come to my attention from several sources that the town of Central is paying the town administrator over $150,000, including benefits, and that there's no formal evaluation for that position. So I would pose to you a couple of questions. Are you evaluated, or were you evaluated in your professional positions? Is every other town of Central employee evaluated? And what will you do to correct the issue of no evaluation for the town administrator?
Let me see if I can make it fair, a little fairer, so let's start with Reverend Deal, and we'll go down and then go back. That'd be okay? And we'll kind of rotate that, y'all keep me straight, because I want to be fair. Y'all are all my constituents, so I want to, that's self-preservation.
Yes, I was evaluated at Southern Western University. I signed 34 contracts. I had a contract of the year, and at the end of the year, I was evaluated whether I was going to be able to be offered another contract, and so I was evaluated from the top down and from the bottom up, what we call it 360 evaluation. If I'm mayor, one of the things that I will make sure that happens is that the administrator is reviewed by council, that the administrator is also reviewed by the heads, department heads that report to the town administrator.
Mr. Abbott?
So, I don't know about $150,000. And I only say that so I can say this. Central Community Facebook page. Somebody was posting that Phillip was making, I think it was 109, 108, somewhere in that number. So I wasn't sure, so if you're a South Carolina employee, you make over $50,000, you can find out anybody's salary. And, I think he was making, at the time, it would have been reporting the year before. And I knew it was less than $100,000. I mean, it was like 98, but it was less than 100,000. So it got me questioning, because I know the town is central, I know the size, I know the income, the structures, that take place. So instead of, you know, being like most people, jump to conclusion, I love to do research. I guess I'm a nerd, I'm totally fine with that. So I looked at places like 6 Mile, then I looked at people down the coast. The things that I was looking for was, cause you can search everything and see the revenue of town central, and then you can see the population. So I tried to keep everything about reasonable. And I was actually shocked to see that Phillip actually is in the lower tier at that time. It was in the lower tier based on other towns, cities with the similar dynamics as the town central. So knowing that, I couldn't get mad, because when Phillip got here, the town central was basically on the verge of bankruptcy. As a business owner, if I had a employee who I then promoted to basically the top, and he took me from,
Finish your thought.
he took me from about to go from 7-Eleven to not being in the debtor's prison, then I'm willing to pay for that. I had more than enough time, I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Queen, that's a very interesting question. I like it. I came from the United States Army. I was a combat infantryman. We always get evaluated. And I think that any government position or anybody working for the government should be evaluated. And not go to people on that same government and ask for negotiations. To me, if you're on our government and you came to me and asked me, hey, I'm gonna evaluate you, but I'm also gonna have my city council evaluate you, then we're gonna go to a room and we're gonna look at this. We're gonna talk about it. And if you're not qualified, I'm gonna fight for the citizens not to be there. And I'm gonna say, we aren't hiring this man because he's not qualified, and I'm doing it for the citizens. It's not gonna affect my paycheck either way, because I get paid by the United States government for retirement. So I'm good on it. I don't have any ambitions to make any money on doing anything. All I wanna do is take care of my constituents. And anybody that doesn't get evaluated shouldn't be in that position in the first place. Because I agree with Mr. Ed on this one. And I also agree with the fact he almost came in and saved us from bankruptcy. But many of you know there's a train coming down the track. I don't know who that belongs to, who is responsible for it. But I'm gonna fight and I'm gonna stand up and make sure that we don't go bankrupt. Thank you. Mr. Queen, thanks for the question.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin.
I'll keep my answer pretty short, but the answer to your question is, I guarantee you I got evaluated every year. When I was at the sheriff's office, the sheriff did it. When I was the chief of police, the mayor did it. And, I work at the funeral home now, and we get evaluated at the funeral home on the service we deliver. So, I think anytime you have a job and you're answering to anybody, folks, you're answering to your boss, you're answering to anybody, you need to be evaluated. And I just think that's just something that absolutely, it's not even a question. It has to be done by everybody that's drawing a paycheck. That's what I believe. Thank you.
Queener, good question. Good, the research, I'm sure, I was looking up after, we had talked a couple weeks ago about that, and I couldn't find the figures on South Carolina for the administrators at the time. But yeah, I worked for a company, I got reviewed every year, I got reviewed twice a year. And I was part of the review process, and my employees were part of the review process. So yeah, I'm surprised that there isn't a review process in place for not only the town administrator, but the assistant and the department heads, so they know where they stand. If you're an employee and you don't know where you stand on the job you're doing, it's kind of hard to improve if you're doing poorly, or start looking for work if you're doing badly. You know, if you're ready to be booted out the door, it'd be nice to know so that you can start looking for work, or ask for more money if you're doing a better job than what they say you're doing. I do think Phillip works hard at his job. I don't always agree with him, and you that go to meetings know that. The M word that you brought up, the moratorium, I don't know how many times he gave me a side eye when I brought that up a few years ago, but the M word, it's one of those things. But I think he has to be held accountable, all town employees do, including us. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Queen.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so I'll go back to my trusty list. I picked out one here that, I heard it the other night, at last week's forum, but I think some of you will find it interesting. Sewer expansion costs. Central is already at or near sewer capacity, and estimates suggest a $30 to $60 million bond may be needed. Do you support taking on that kind of debt? First question. If not, what are your plans to expand sewer capacity responsibly? And I'll be glad to repeat that to you. So the first question with sewer costs in mind, do you support taking on that kind of debt? We'll start with Mr. Ebbett this time. Give me a straight one, right? That's right, okay.
This is one of those questions that you just can't jump in to say yes or no without seeing all options that are currently available to you. With $36 million, I know within a reasonable, I don't know if when you do a bond, if you can go past 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, I've never dealt with that. But I definitely know at 30 years, it would be tough for the town of Central to do a 30-year bond and make those payments. But I also know, just like other things that we have available inside of schools, inside fire departments, there's plenty of grants available through the United States government. We could work with the local colleges, see if they could help us write a grant to submit it up to Washington, see if we can get approved. That's definitely cheaper than $30 to $60 million. I do know with the developments that are looking like they might be coming in, that they could definitely spend the money to help us in that area, because it will be beneficial not only for them, but it would also be beneficial for us. And it would be more beneficial for them, because if we don't have the sewage capacity, then they definitely would not be able to build. So that is where I stand on it. It's just too many variables to give a yes or no answer.
Yeah, and keep just, again, these are not my questions. This is what someone, I guess these came in online or something, was that? So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't even know if the question, I don't know if this is factual, the 30, 60 million, I have no idea, but that's the question that was sent to us. So, Mr. Golden, you want me to repeat the question, or you good?
I'm good.
You good?
Thank you. My hearing aid is better than it used to be. Anywhere between the 30 million, right?
30 and 60 million bond is what it says.
But I take that responsibility for this town. That's a, sewage plant's gonna cost us 90% if all plans fall through. That's about 26.7 million. That's going off of 27 million to explain the sewage plant. The big thing about that is, who's on the hook for it? Ain't gonna be Pickens County residents, it's gonna be Central residents, right? That's a hard one. Does that make me wanna run from this job? No. That makes me wanna dig in. The reason I wanna dig in is because there are federal programs out there that we can get funding from. We have great state legislators right here with us today. I'm pretty sure that he's on board if we can find money from the federal government to help us with this. Because as his constituents, I'm pretty sure that no one wants to dip into their pocket for this, right? I mean, I can't go down to TD Bank and ask for a $26 million check. They'll look at me like I'm stupid. If it's gonna help us and help my residents, I'm for it. And if it means that we're gonna have to tighten the belt, sometimes you gotta make hard decisions, folks. And we will. Because we can't stop it now, it's already coming. So, allow me to stand in the gap for you. Let me work some things that I've learned in the military. I just didn't do the job for the military. I work with diplomats. I work with foreign countries. So I know what it takes to get up there, and I know what it means to be paid to try to get something. I don't want to see y'all do it. If anybody else should do it, it should be me. Thank you.
Who's next? Mr. Griffin. I want to call him Lieutenant. We worked together at the Sheriff's Office for 18 years. He was my lieutenant. I can tell y'all some stories. If y'all want some stories on my we got some stories. Go ahead.
I think, well, we're gonna come to you for help.
We do have money, but I don't know what we do.
I think as a council, we need to be, we can do our own research, naturally, but I agree with, what the other folks have said, but, I think as a council, we need to have some guidance given to us, have somebody that's an expert in this field, maybe come in and talk with us, and I think that, we can reach out to other towns and places that maybe face this same dilemma and ask them, what did y'all do? Somebody else can come up with another idea maybe that we hadn't thought of. As to your question, will I support that kind of money on the bond? I just don't think, I think there's gotta be another way, such as grants and state and federal help that we can, we'll have to ask for. And, there again, we need, as a council, we need to be given, the direction, where the best route we need to go.
Thank you. I guess it's back to Mr. Barry, right?
Yes, sir. I was gonna file a formal complaint, there's too much camaraderie from the past between the moderator and the people on the panel.
Sorry.
I
Us
think-
local boys just get out of hand sometimes.
Just the way it goes. I don't think we're in a position to have a bond issue at this point. There's just too many other things that come along with the infrastructure issues that we have right now. More fire department, more police department, more sanitation and public works department that need to be done with this growth, that we can put this issue back to the developer. In the meetings this last 6 months in town hall, there's been quite a lot of talk about sewers and wastewater and where it's going and where it's been. 15,000 gallons, if my math is right, from what I know. I haven't been to, public commission meetings or anything, but we've also got 900 units coming that have been okayed for development for the original application that's been put in. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the figure is 325 or 350 gallons per person,
Per
unit.
300 gallons per day per house.
Per house. So, at 20, I'm not good right now, math. Anyway, it's, it's 50,000 more gallons than we have available to us. So, something has to be done, and I don't think it'll be done fast enough for these developers unless they do it themselves. Okay, that's my take on it. Thank you.
Good, very good. Reverend Deal, I have a follow-up on that too from last week's, because I wasn't clear on it. I want to get clear, but Reverend Deal, do your thing, and I'll ask a follow-up.
Okay. Mr. Peak is on, a subcommittee that's working with this. And our understanding is that when we brought on, or when we worked with the developer, however you want to say it, that those, numbers have already been encumbered for us. So when you are looking at what is available to us, that's what's available to us after everything has been developed. What we're working on now as a council, and Ms. Chapman and Mr. Peake can tell you this, that what we are working on, and Mr. Griffin, I'm sorry, Griffin, is that what we're working on is what we need 30 years from now. We're trying to work now to see what it is that our children and grandchildren need. And it sounds like we're scrambling because we need something now. Actually, we're trying to be ahead of it and say that we need to have it developed, need to be thinking about it now rather than kicking the can down the road to another council. So my understanding is it has been encumbered. It is there. The state won't allow us, when we develop, the state requires us to turn into them the gallons or the household usage, and then they're the ones that tell us. So what we can do then in the future is work with somebody else, work with Clemson, work with Pendleton, work with Clemson and Pendleton, to go in and build a plant together so that we share this, we share capacity, but we also can share the cost with that so that the future can be taken care of.
That was what I was trying to get clear in my mind. So, can I ask? Okay. What I heard, I think it was Councilor Bowers that responded to this question last week. But you have enough encumbrance on capacity to cover the hospital and the development on out of Road 18. Yeah, that's what. And the plan is in place now for sewer capacity, or in case you have another development somewhere. Right. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
I was trying to make sure that was clear.
I don't know if I'm out of line.
Should wait till your turn, is your time anyway?
I'll tell you,
I'll let you answer that. Mr. Queener, did I get everyone that time? I got back to everyone, starting Mr. Queener. Mr. Queener has a question.
I have a follow-up on this question about the sewer treatment. Because I was at the sewer, the Pickens County Public Service Commission meeting in January, and that discussion about expanding the plant, there was a $20 million cost estimate for doubling the capacity. For doubling the capacity, but you could triple the capacity for $30 million. So those are the numbers that I heard at that meeting. Since then, I was at a council work session, and there was a discussion about the TIF, tax increment financing thing. And I wonder if that's still on the table or not, because the TIF was really concerning to me, because what I heard was the guy batting around numbers like as much as $100 million in a TIF to give that money to the developer to pay the sewer capacity and to build sidewalks and infrastructure, streets and so forth. My question is, are you willing to vote for that TIF, or is that TIF no longer on the table?
We start with Mr. Golden this time, right?
Unfortunately, you do.
Got you a doozy there.
Every dog has its day.
Yeah. Tim, I was at the meeting with you. I think that we talked about that. And I'm still not considering it as transparent as it needs to be. At some point, we should have known about this before it came to y'all's attention, and then kind of bypassed us and went a different way.
For the record, I don't know anything about it.
Not, talk about higher up, so. Let's be real, folks. I don't really have an answer for this, because I don't wanna put y'all in a position that's gonna cost y'all. I'd rather take it on myself, but that's me. I don't know how y'all feel about that. And that's what is important. It's y'all's feeling, not mine. The thing I would do is I'd probably go to the federal funds, because I know that I've worked for the government for a lot of years, so I know that they got money. Unfortunately, I don't like to spend it. And then I would go to the state. As far as, like you said, for an extra 30 million, we could triple it. But, I believe in that January 25th meeting, or 27th, the Pickens County and the Public Service Council had, was that they ruled on us not getting any more developments for the future. Now, was that before some of these houses come in? Or was it after? See, my problem is, I believe in a transparent government. My problem is also that we're not getting it.
Mr. Griffin?
My understanding is the TIF is still in play, and I think that, there again, I hate to repeat myself, but we're gonna have to have some professional guidance as far as a council as a group goes. I'm just a firm believer in, I don't know it. I don't think everybody on council knows it. We need to reach out to somebody that does and get them to come in and talk to us and guide us and give us the options to which direction we can go in. There again, as Ken said, I think that it's gonna come down to, we're gonna have to partner with Clemson and Pendleton and work together with them to try to come out with a workable solution for Central. Because I don't think Pickens County is gonna help us right now. And if we're gonna get anything done, I think that's the direction we need to go.
Thank you. Mr. Barry? I think the question is TIF, right? Do you support the TIF? A TIF.
The size of the TIF that we would need to get to support all this, infrastructure would be too much for the taxpayers to handle. I know it comes out of what would be the projected taxation on the development. But if they don't get that, if those houses go unsold, if those houses don't get built, it falls back on you and I, the taxpayers that are in place at the time. And I, for one, do not want to see that go. My tax rate's already gone up, and I have a 100-year-old house, and I don't understand that because I haven't done anything new. I haven't put a second story on it, or I haven't put a bunker underneath it, or glorified it with, put a castle somewhere, but my taxes have gone up considerably because of the growth in Central. So if we get a TIF, it's just gonna make it harder and harder for the people that are here already. We're talking about the friends and family we see on the street and in the stores and every place else. So I really wouldn't be in favor of it.
Reverend Dick?
TIF has a bad name right now among a lot of people. Bad TIFs are bad, and I wouldn't vote for a bad TIF. But our rec center that sits right over here, that was built with TIF money. And that is a major, event place for our citizens, that they can go there and work out. Our kids have basketball and all the other kinds of things that go in there. So I would have to see it. I wouldn't vote for a bad TIF, but I would have to see it. Let me jump back. I think something that's getting confused is there's a development on Lawton Road. This is generally referred to it as Lawton Road beside the school. We told the state that was going in there, and they then were responsible for turning that in for the sewer capacity for that north plant. It's over in Pendlelag area over there. They didn't do that. They dropped the ball. So when they figured it out, it put that at almost capacity. And I think that gets mixed up with a lot of what other people are hearing, is that that was not our fault. We were following what we were supposed to do. It was the state that dropped the ball on doing that. And so now it's incumbent upon them to help get that fixed, so that, and when we say capacity, we're really talking, it's 80%. When it gets to 80% capacity, then they make you start to have a plan or do something else. So, we're not in danger of going bankrupt. The town of Central is not in danger of going bankrupt. We're a healthy town. We had, audits from outside that come in every year. We have unqualified, who's the accountant here? We get the best rating.
Report, unqualified.
Unqualified report, which means that's the best rating that we can get. We are good, we are healthy, we're not going bankrupt.
Thank you. Mr. Evan. TIF, the question is TIF.
I like your questions. I really do. I wish I would've been at that meeting, because I broke out my phone, just did some quick numbers real quick. I agree with Reverend Deal. I'm not gonna support a bad TIF, but I wish I would've been at that meeting to ask more questions. As I mentioned, the town administrator's salary, and I was working off old data. Unfortunately, I just have old data to go off. August of 21, we were at a special called road meeting, because Pickens County dilly-dally, and they needed us to make a decision so they could pass on 48 hours later. And at that time, they said to pave a mile of road is $1 million. Well, inflation happens, 4 years later, it's not $1 million a mile, but I'm using that number. They had me at $30 million to triple our sewer holdings, because I think that'd be a great idea. But the $70 million extra to do roads and sidewalks, because I'm going off your information, I don't know what was said. That's, even if we divide that in half, there's not 35 miles of road in town central. There's not 35 miles of sidewalks in the town central. So I'd ask questions like, what is that $70 million actually giving to the town central? On a number side, let's just say 30 years from now, because I think town central has 5,399 people, so I just rounded up 5,400. So 30 years, we don't have huge growth, or we don't have a huge decrease, and we just said 5,400. If we did it, and the government's great about passing things and giving us an IOU and removing it later. So 30 years, each one of those 5,400 people would pay $617. If we run it for 60 years, they pay $380. I'd have to see more before I can make a really good judgment call on that too.
Did I make it around? Made it around. So the next,
I have a question.
is it, oh, okay, is it time to go? No, it's just.
No, I have a question if that's okay. So I just want to make sure we get to this question, because as some of you may know, I'm very involved and I try to look up all the agendas and do a lot of stuff. And so sometimes with Central, there's a bit of a transparency issue in my mind. And I've spoken to some of you about that. I don't think there's anything nefarious necessarily, but
it can be daunting to try to get information. So there's no packets with the agendas. There's no recording of the work session. There's no minutes apparently from the work session, that there haven't been in the past. And when the annexations went through, there were no maps, there were just parcel numbers, there weren't even addresses in some of them, most of them. And the strip annexation, it was basically impossible to see what was getting annexed. So, A, do you think there's a transparency issue? And B, will you increase transparency on day one, or will you keep things the same?
Mr. Griffin, you're first up, right? I haven't done you right yet, right? Okay.
To answer your question is, I think there's always room for improvement when it comes to transparency. I do believe that when the annexation issues were, being discussed, at some of the meetings, I know that we had a map, put up on the projector. And I know that everyone wasn't at the meeting, or they can't sit at home and figure that out. I understand that, but, and I think that definitely, and we as a council have said, when it comes to the agendas, it needs to be, there needs to be a little more explanation in there instead of just a parcel number or a lot number. Because I can look at that myself, I don't know what that is, I need to be told this is on Gaines Street, or this is on Church Street, or whatever, and it's to the right or left or whatever. I think all that information needs to be in there. Because if I was sitting out there, or even sitting, in a meeting, I wanna be told exactly what we're discussing. So, and those questions have come up during meetings, we will ask, what does this refer to? But to answer your question, I think I did, yes, on day one, I think we can do a better job.
Thanks, sir. I think that gets us back around to Mr. Barry, right?
Okay. Yes, there is a need to get more information out there. And, I agree that I don't think it's anything nefarious. I think it is, lack of direction and responsibility as to who, going along with the accountabilities and things for the players on the team. I don't know as it's been assigned to a person to take minutes at every meeting and publish them. It was just published, and I forget which page it was, but it showed a Greenville, City of Greenville agenda. And it came right down to the addresses on the street of the parcels in question. And yeah, I can't make heads or tails out of the numbers they publish, even when I look up that particular number on the Pickens County assessor's page. It never goes along with anything that's on the assessor's page. So yeah, that information is very hard to get a hold of. And I've worked with council and worked within the town. It's just something I think it has to be addressed on day one, and it has to improve. I don't have all the answers. I never pretend to. But I think it can be done a lot better than it is.
Yes, thank you. I have proposed, what 4 months, if I were mayor, would look like beginning in January. If I were elected mayor, I would take office, the second Monday in January at that session. So work would start for February. And on my agenda is to prepare work session agendas that are legal and easily understood. So exactly what you're saying, we can say plot 587-38, but underneath in parentheses, we can say house at 142 Gaines Street wants to be annexed agriculture because they live close to, on the county line, and half of their properties in the county, and they're gonna raise chickens. So we can put that, so everybody that sees it can see and know what's going on. We will publish the, not only the agendas, but also the packets, so that they will be on the website, whoever wants to can go there and download those, read them before we start, so that we can do that. I I would propose that we rename, when we have our council meetings, the first Monday night, we don't take any action, it's hearing things. I propose that we would call that council briefing, that we would have first Monday night council briefings where we would hear all the things, have all the engagement that we want. And then the second night would be, council meeting, because we say public session and it makes it sound like that one's not for the public. So, all of them are for the public. So I would propose all of that for us to be more transparent and to demystify what's going on in terms of government for everyone.
Great question, because throughout the whole campaign, I've heard transparency. Oh. Pay attention. I've heard transparency quite a bit.
I'm gonna start your time over.
Thank you. I've heard transparency quite a bit, but I've never heard someone being more specific. And the reason why I say that is because Susan Brewer and now our new town clerk, I'm on an email list, so after council meetings, after work sessions, we'd get it. And it would have essentially what the government calls minutes. It would not include maps, so you're right about that, but it would give the parcel number, and it would also give the addresses. And for me, that's fine. Just because it's okay for me doesn't mean it's okay for everybody else. So getting feedback like that can help us improve to help everyone. Because if it just helps one person, it's not good for a community. But as hearing more about how can we be more transparent, everybody that lives in town central gets water bill. We control the water bill. We could list out all the dates. You know, we have work session, we have council meeting, we have this right here. Or if there's too much information, we put a QR code where people can scan it. All we need is to have Adobe, and we have a QR code that lasts forever. And as long as we update it, then people can go in, they can see what's happening in town. Hey, we're, Republican groups having a debate here at the library. It starts at this time. Come out, meet candidates, ask questions. We can also say, hey, what's new coming on in Central? What's on the docket? What do you need to know about? And whatever we put on the internet, you don't need 150 words. You can have thousands of words. And maybe people we put a little comment section on there. We're like, give us your thoughts. What do you wish would come in? And that's something that's not gonna cost the town anything. We already have Adobe, we already have water bills. Stick it on there, have, just a moment where for 45 days, we have a calendar. Because that way the water bills will overlap, and anything new, they can still scan it. We can have to sign up for emails where when the minutes, when everything is released, here you go. Just at the same time, that way the people that want it, they do receive it.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Phillip.
Ms. Mark, thank you for that question. Transparency is a big thing. I agree with a lot of what Mr. Evans said. I think we have the capability to put the information out there. But I also believe that I'm gonna bring back something that probably is still in effect, but I don't see it being used very often. If I'm elected as mayor, I'm gonna open up my office. You come see me anytime. Walk in, we'll talk about it. If I can't fix the problem, I'm gonna go to the council, and we're gonna fix the problem. That's the problems. Sometimes you have transparency and sometimes you don't. Military is all about transparency. We wanna know precise what we're doing, where we're going, where we're headed. It's in our missions. Affects us in civilian life too. If we make a decision, y'all gonna know about it. Y'all gonna help us make that decision. Cause we're not gonna put the information out there. We're just gonna keep pushing it out there, and we gotta invest in carrier pigeons. I'm all for that too. But I want the citizens to know everything that we do from this point on. phone calls. We gotta send out letters. If we gotta go door to door, I'm for that too. I may not speak for the council, but I don't mind putting on my boots and walking door to door and tell you, hey, this is what's going on. Call me, meet me for coffee. We'll go out to eat, anything you wanna do. That's how I see this community growing. It's time to stop the whole thing about lines being crossed and all that. If we're gonna be a community, let's be a family. Come to us, talk to us, let us know what you think.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin, you answered it already, right? You started. So I'm just editorial comment, if you don't mind. When I went on the school board, I was on the school board for 8 years here. Went on in 2015. When I got there, it was a lot like what you're describing. Our secretary tried her best to put all this stuff together in a packet and get it out and scan it online. This was the old days by today's standards. But we purchased, it cost, I think it was $20,000, I think, relatively insignificant amount of money for the school district. And she does just a little bit of typing, and boom, it puts it all in a nice, neat, orderly fashion, posts it online, attaches to it. This is just useless information for you all. There are programs out there. Talk to Roseanne at the school district. It will make your life so much easier because you can go on today. You can go on the school district website, click. You can go back probably 10 years when I was on there, when I first started. So it's a very easy process. You good on that? Any audience questions come to mind? You're satisfied?
We got a bashful crowd tonight.
They're all happy with all of it. So here's one that was placed on the desk. What would your plan be to bring industry to the town? Who would you be willing to work with to ensure this happens? We'll start with Mr. Barry.
That's a very good question. One I haven't thought about as far as industry coming in. I know we have a glass window company going into the old plant on the other side of the tracks. And we have other parcels that could be used. I think it's something we have to have someone dedicated to searching out new business to come into town. I know when I was on council before, I was over tourism and economic development, and I was reaching out to businesses myself, trying to fill up Main Street businesses that were vacant. Well, that's just small business. I don't know how you would get to the industry out there to get them. That's like Griff was saying, you know, that's one of my pay grade. I need somebody to help me with that. We have people employed by the town now to help with developments and lead us in the right direction on that. I'm not sure that's working out as well as it should be, so we really have to find the person that can help us do our industry, whether it's through the county or our state representatives, to push that towards us. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
I'm not sure what the person means by industry, but I would like for us to do all that we can to help the businesses that we have in town and also to bring more businesses to town. You can do things, we have storefronts downtown that have been used as warehouses. We are now pushing ordinance through to make people not use those as warehouses so that they can be used as businesses. Walkability, improved sidewalks, make more sidewalks downtown so people can get from place to place, more parking downtown so that we can invite those people to come in. Working with the existing, I go every month to our business meeting that we have for business owners, and I'm a part of that group. Even though I don't have a business, I just want to encourage them to say, what is it that we can do to help you and how we can improve this? Those are the kinds of things that I think that we need to be doing. I think Pickens County's doing a great job of bringing industry into Pickens County. And what we need are more people who will drive in to shop at our stores, to eat at our restaurants, to use our services, and then also to drive back to their homes, as well as providing places for, the people who live here to be able to do those things.
Thank you, Mr. Ed.
There's a book I read, it was written in the fifties, it's called Economics in One Book. You have to read it 3 or 4 times for it to even make sense. But one of the things that they said is me washing your clothes and you washing my clothes is not an economy. Because you can only spend your money at one place. When you come to the red light in Central on Church Street, you have where Bee's Knees used to be. And on my way to work every day, now that they're trying to sell the business, my wife does Pilates in Clemson. They just expanded to Anderson. Where they're at in Clemson, there's little to no parking, or you have to pay for parking. And if they already have an established business to do an expansion into Anderson, it's worthwhile to at least reach out to them and say, hey, we got this building right here. We have X amount of cars that stop at this or traffic light every single day. You can put a wonderful sign here. We have plenty of college students that are within walking distance or moped distance of your business. Parking is no longer an issue. I get my hair cut at Great Clips, right where the old Bilo shopping center is. I don't know if this is truth or not, but the lady that cuts my hair says, we're worried because they're gonna tear down this building. We don't know where we're going.
That's true.
Yeah. That's true. So you have, I think it's 5 businesses right there. One of them's a Chinese restaurant that's got great takeout. I'm a heavier set guy, so ask me about food questions. And you got a haircutting place. Oddly enough, we just lost a haircutting place that's got charm. And the rent has to be cheaper in Central than it ever was in Clemson for any of those places. So anything that brings more foot traffic to Central also helps all the other businesses in Central, because they'll get to see a boutique and a Mexican restaurant, or they'll get to go get their tires at this location instead of going to Beasley or Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
Business owners, mills, BSF, cotton mill down, got a pretty good business down there, right? I'm all about working with people who wanna come in here, but I wanna make sure that they come in here for the right reasons. I support the roller mill, talked to against the grain, and even went downtown today, talked to the woman that owns the Mexican, and then right up to one of our great establishments, Urban Central. It's always the things that we overlook as a small business owners. To bring business into this town, there's a few problems we got to address. There are some people who don't want to let their building be rented, and if they are let it be rented, they want to charge too much. Brings in tax. I figure tax breaks for them people probably get more businesses. Now, as far as working with other and bigger companies, I'm gonna take the high road on that. Because the high road is, I'm gonna make sure that you're benefiting Central more than you're benefiting yourself. We need jobs. We need people to fill them jobs. I want people from Central to be able to have first pick at their jobs. I want the jobs to be within Central's town limits, so people from Central have a steady income. If I'm gonna bring the business in, then they're gonna play by our rules. Which means that we need to get more of our people in them positions, and not outside contractors.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin?
We've gotta find a way, to get people to come to Central, not just pass through here to go on their way to think that we do have a good working relationship with the Clemson Area Chamber of Commerce. I think could do better with that. I would like someday there be enough businesses to where Central could have their own Chamber of Commerce and act independently. But I don't know, that may not happen in my lifetime, but I'd like to see it. I think that, we need to, reach out to, we have the meeting that Ken was talking about, the business owners. I think there was one last night and it got canceled.
Right.
And we wanna get involved in that. But in order to bring people in here, I think that there are, we have Southern Westland University right here in our town, Clemson University. I know good and well that there's gotta be, people that are, grad students that like to build a project or whatever, that in that field, in order to bring business, how do you attract businesses and how do you, attract, we need to partner with someone that's in that field of business that knows how to do that and tell us what to do, what here's a good, and maybe make it, some kind of project for a graduate student at Clemson or SWU. But anyway, I think that there's, places we could look and people we could ask, for help that would be beneficial to us.
Good, very good. Just another editorial comment. One of the things I've been surprised at, in my short time in Columbia is the amount of grants that are available. There are PRT grant, Parks, Recreation, Tourism grants, there are Commerce Department grants, there are Conservation Bank grants, they're just grants, and they're seldom used. I've talked with some of the folks and they said, oh yeah, we didn't have anyone apply for this grant or that grant or whatever. If I had the money, I would hire my own grant writer to help me. I'd have my own grant writer because there's just so many things we need in this community. And there's money to do it. So whoever wins this thing, I would encourage you to hire a grant writer.
I'd encourage them to talk to you a lot. I'd encourage them to talk to you a lot.
Well, the problem is it's a bureaucracy you gotta go through to get there. You need someone who, kind of like, I won't call out anybody's name, Mr. Gay, I won't get in trouble again. But, having someone who builds those relationships, year in, representatives come and go, but build those relationships over the years, I would encourage for the benefit of your citizens, find you a grant writer, even if it's part-time. So.
I think we have maybe time for one more question before the final comments. Does that sound about right?
It is 7:34. Now, this says to start the comments at 7:45, but it doesn't matter to me.
Well, if you do one more question, 2 minutes apiece, that's 10
One more question.
minutes.
That's good. Very good. You've done this before. Okay, so one more question. From the audience, anybody have a question? Most of these other questions are surrounding stuff we've pretty much talked around already.
Get creative.
Well, there's one about impact fees. We kind of talked about that earlier with the concurrency. Here's kind of a curious question. I haven't heard this. Kill 15 minutes. The Planning Commission unanimously opposed the 650 home project, yet council approved it. I didn't know that. So the question is, why override your own commission's decision? That's one question. The other one is, what was the rush to approve this development without full details and infrastructure plans? So we've talked about a lot of that stuff, so we start with Reverend Dale this time, correct? Okay.
What you read in minutes and what happens, sometimes you have to connect dots, and they are correct. The Planning Commission did say, we don't recommend this the way it is. They gave the council the ability then to vote on it and change it to the way that they wanted it to be. And that's what we did. When we voted, we changed, there were parts of it, parcels of it, of the agreement that, the ordinance that we changed. So it wasn't that we were going against our own commission. It was one of those places where they felt like in some ways their hands were tied, but this is what they wanted. Here's how to do it. You vote on it and you can change it. And that's what we did.
Mr. Abbott,
So I've read and heard a couple of different things. I've heard exactly what Ken has said, and I've heard that the part that the planning commission was totally against was the annexation of how it was written. Was it the annexation part, or was it exactly like Ken?
it says the planning commission, not my question, this is just what was given me, so the planning commission unanimously opposed the 650 home project, but council approved it.
So I'll kind of answer it from both situations.
Good politician there, straddle the fence.
If they oppose the annexation as the builder wanted to have it built, I would still go against planning to have the annex brought in, because it's a whole lot easier to control something in your town than it is outside of your town. And before approving it, take council just like they did and listen to them and make those changes when you're bringing them in. On the other part where it was, everyone just passed it, even though the planning commission said it one way. To my understanding, the elected officials did take guidance from the planning and made those changes. So they might have opposed the way it was written the initial time, but what was passed had the changes of all of the recommendations that the planning committee wanted to see. And I would support doing it that way, and I would also support doing the annexation, bringing it in town with control that the planning wanted.
Good, thank you. Mr. Bell.
Well, what I went against is, the question is, why did we go against it? I really don't have an answer for you on that. Because to be quite honest, I figured if the Pickens County Planning Council said no, they should have given indications to the city council to say no. However, the deeper you dive into this abyss, the deeper you find that not all information was relayed. On January 25th, I spoke about it earlier, y'all had a meeting with Pickens County. Y'all said no. And then the city council or the county council of Pickens had a meeting on June 25th, and they said no. So that's two no's. And then I haven't heard about us getting a yes from either one of them councils. At least not on my watch. But I would like to know why we went ahead with the project if we were told no by the county. I won't know that information until I get to look at all of it. But mistakes were made. They shouldn't have been made. And I'm hoping we can fix it.
Mr. Griffin.
I don't mean to be argumentative with Mr. Gold. I do disagree. I don't think the county had anything to do with our decision. If I'm not mistaken, those proposals, went back to planning more than once. And they revised it and came back, we sent it back again, it came back. And as Ken said, they more or less showed us, this is what we want, and we had y'all vote on it. And that's what we did. So, our vote had nothing to do with what the county did or didn't propose.
And Mr. Evans, Mr. Barry?
This whole question, it comes again to the issue of what is written down and what is sent out to the population of Central, what is sent to the council, what is sent to the administrators. Because it seems to me, being on the mailing list for all these items, that I don't see half of the things that go on in council and planning sessions on other items. And thinking back to this project, I don't remember it going, I remember it going from the planning commission, the central planning commission, who said they didn't approve it, and it went to council, and they changed a couple things, but I don't remember it going back to the planning commission again. Which, if I'm not mistaken, if there are changes that council needs made, then it goes back to the planning commission, they reassess the plan, and it gets submitted back to council to start the reading process over again and the approval process over again. Although there's things that happen in our big friend down the road that is in deep doo-doo right now, it shouldn't happen in Central. We're not that big where things go behind the back and down the hall and over the river and through the woods. I'm not sure where that development is at this point. Again, going with the sewage and wastewater questions that come and go, encumbrance, non-encumbrance. Is there gonna be enough for it? Is there not gonna be enough for it? Does the developer wanna continue building if he doesn't have infrastructure? I don't know. Again, put it out there so everybody can see what's going on.
All right, start to wrap up? All right, so if y'all don't mind, we'll start with Mr. Griffin and just go down the line, is that okay? All right, wrap it up, two minutes max. And we'll go home. Any, I better ask, any other questions come to mind? Can you talk about? This is a great one. Every legislator ought to do this. You're a microcosm of the whole state, I'm telling you. Every committee across the state, everybody talk to, this same thing, these same topics come up. This concurrency thing, I'm gonna dig into that. I'm gonna work on that. We get it through the House, but the Senate it will die in the Senate. We have to start all over in 27. Everything dies. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Again, I want to thank everybody for being here and thank you for having us. As y'all know, there are 4 of us seeking seats on your town council. There are only 3 seats available. Everyone here is qualified, and I'm sure we do a good job. However, I feel as though with my experience in the town, county, state, and federal government, I could give you the representation you deserve. Thank you for your consideration, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 4th.
I want to thank each of y'all for moderating it. Mr. Tate, thank you. Representative Bowers, appreciate you asking questions. Ms. Laura, thank you for organizing this. And as the citizens, thank you for being here. In the infantry, we learn to look out for one another, regardless of the situation, good, bad, indifferent. That's kind of what I want to do now, is look out for each of y'all. I'm not a politician. I grew up here in Central. My family's buried up there in the graveyard. Unfortunately, I'm related to the Parentals, I'm related to the Swains of Pendleton, I'm related to the Hendricks, Arnolds. I mean, I can't throw a rock in 5 counties without hitting somebody that I'm related to. However, that ain't what it's about. It's not about the good old boy system anymore. It's about who's best qualified for the job. Who do you want to wake up every morning and fight for you? That's the question you need to ask yourself. If you do same old every year, same people, same rotation, or you get someone in there that's gonna love this city, this town, and who loves this county and country. I've got that proven in my track record. I'll go the extra mile for my country. Now, if I did that for my country, what do you think I'll do for you? Thank you.
Mr. Edmund.
First, thank you for hosting this event. Thank you for inviting members of the audience. Thank y'all for coming out. On November 4th, I encourage every single one of y'all to come out and vote. Vote for me, don't vote for me. I want y'all to use y'all's civic duty and cast a vote. I'm young enough to still be ambitious, but I'm old enough to have learned from my mistakes and be wiser than I was 20 years ago. Being from this town, living in this town, I want to be a steward of this town. And with the power of sitting behind a bench, the power of a pen, I can make changes positively or negatively, but I will do things with an extreme amount of thought. It will never be a quick decision, and it will be, at times, a hard decision. But at the time, I will see this decision that's best for each member of this town. I want to be, and always be, easily approached by every single citizen. And to Laura's question earlier, her point, it opened up my eyes to how I can see things differently from another person's eyes, and micro changes can have it so other people can understand what's truly happening. And I'm going to work for this town. I'm a workaholic, and I'm not afraid to burn the midnight oil, and I will be there when it's good, I'll be there when it's bad. I'm not going to leave. So November 4th, please come out and vote. And if I'm lucky enough to have one of your votes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Again, thank everyone, Republican Club, and all the people who are here tonight. Thank you for taking the time, and all those who are up here and putting themselves out. I appreciate that very much. I love this town, and I've done a lot of different things for this town. Beautification projects. I was even, for about 12, 18 months, a part-time summary court judge for the town of Central. So I know this town from a lot of different areas, a lot of different ways. I like the innovation that we've had. When I came on council 16 years ago, we had raw sewage coming up in people's yards because our pipes were so bad. And over 16 years, we replaced every sewer pipe and every water pipe in the town of Central. No one would have to worry about that for 50 years. And we did that with mainly with grants, over $5 million that were written of grants to do that. This past 2 councils ago, we lowered our millage, so we lowered taxes for the people in Central because of value. We don't get to set taxes on homes and things like that. That's done by the county, but we can work to help you in those ways. We're innovative. In downtown Central, there's a great farmers market and there's a great CrossFit place. Those places couldn't be used because they were contaminated. The town of Central decided to buy those places. Then to apply for super funds. The super funds came in, they went in, they took out all the stuff that was bad, dug up all the pumps, got rid of all the asbestos, put it back together. then we put it on the market and sold it, not at profit, but so that somebody else could get it and turn it into a great and useful place. That's the kind of innovation that I like being a part of and I want to do for you. And I would appreciate your vote on November the 4th.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Last up.
I would just like to say, thank you, Representative Powers, Mr. Tate, and Ms. Finney for being here and putting this together for us, and all you came out tonight. As others have said, please go out on the 4th and vote, bring a friend to vote with you. Or as they had in Chicago years ago, when Mayor Daley, vote early and vote often. Okay. We need that in Central, when it's a non-year as it is, non-federal year for things. If I'm elected to the council, which I hope I am, I would continue the fights I've been fighting the last year, from the stands and from the podium, looking at the council and the mayor from the other side. There's a lot to be done. There's a lot that's been done. Central's moved along great in the years we've been here. I'd just like to continue to see it grow. I'd like to make sure that I'm a voice for all the people. There's a lot of renters. I was looking at statistics the other day. Only 23 to 30% of all the homes and properties in Central are owner occupied. And we have a ton of rental properties. Of those rental properties, of all the population, we have 30% that is at or below poverty level. We need to look out for them. We need to take care of those folks as much as we take care of everybody else. We don't just need the new $500,000 homes coming in and taking good care of them. We need to take care of the people who built this town and are still here. They may not be seen and heard as much, but they're still here. We've lost a couple of them recently with Harry Halliday and Pat Sheriff, but those other people are still here and they need to be heard and taken care of. I just hope I'm able to do it with you. I appreciate everybody's, again, coming out, and I appreciate your vote on the 4th. Thank you.
Thank y'all. You're a great panel. It's a blessing to come and listen to you, Rick. I appreciate you letting me do this.
Well, I think we need to give everybody for showing up and doing this. Not nice weather to get out and go and you weren't doing anything. I appreciate all of it.
If you need anything out of me before I sit down, my cell phone number is 864-634-4246. Pretty easy. If I can ever help you, let me know.
Say that one more time.
634-4246.
I got it. I bugged you all the time.
Had it for a long time.
And I will say I did the right thing by refusing myself and not moderating because I would have